Good evening, everyone. I just want to make a quick video tonight to talk about something that's in the Rhode Island local news lately. And it's the state-run Eleanor Slater Hospital, which is part of the IMH, if you will, Institute for Mental Health, I think they call it. Well, they're experiencing a staff shortage for workers, just like a lot of medical facilities, I would imagine, in Rhode Island and probably every other state in this country. Shortages, I believe, that are based on vaccine mandates that are requiring healthcare workers to become vaccinated or lose their jobs. And the federal government recently changed their guidelines a bit, and I believe Rhode Island's following those guidelines by allowing asymptomatic COVID positive workers to report to work to treat patients, which I, for one, think is absolutely ridiculous, because regardless of if you're asymptomatic, as far as I'm concerned, because it happened to me, I believe you can still spread COVID, because I think that's how I got it, by an asymptomatic coworker who was with me working, and I came down with COVID. Right now, last I saw, which was about a day ago, at least 28 patients at Eleanor Slater tested positive for COVID, and this is after the hospital, following federal guidance, allowed 2 workers in to cover shifts on a Saturday and 3 additional workers in to cover shifts on a Monday. All workers reportedly asymptomatic COVID positive workers. They're not saying if these positive workers infected these patients, but it just does seem kind of odd that you're letting COVID positive employees come to work, especially in a healthcare setting, to either treat patients or work around patients. To me, I don't know who came up with that guideline, but that's insane. Because if anyone knows that an asymptomatic positive person can still spread COVID. The CDC has said it. I believe the WHO has said it. We all know Dr. Tony Fauci has said it. Wearing masks or not, KN95s, N95s, whatever they are, the best mask that you could possibly get, I would imagine, regardless of their symptoms, whether they're none or some, they are still testing positive for COVID-19. And to allow COVID positive staff to report to work due to staff shortages is at the very least dangerous, because you have an outbreak. And again, I don't know if these workers, I don't know what their jobs were, but I do know that it's been reported that they were called in to cover shift shortages on 2 separate days, 5 workers, and all of a sudden, there's 28 positive cases of COVID-19 at Eleanor Slater. I know that other major hospitals in this state and surrounding states have let workers go for their refusal to get the jab. Workers who worked through the entire 2020 when the pandemic started and was out of control. These people put their own lives on the line, as well as the lives of their families, to go to work every day and wear as much protective equipment as they could to take care of very sick patients. And they did it because that's the job that they chose, that's the job that they love, and that's the job that they wanted to be there doing, taking care of sick people. Then when the government decided we want everybody to get the jab, regardless of whether you want it or not, the hospitals fell right in line with the guidelines and said, sorry, if you don't get it, you're out of a job. And there you have it. People who worked unprotected by a shot, but protected by personal protective equipment, were put out of work because they chose for whatever reason, personal reasons, religious reasons, just because they weren't sure of the science behind it, they were put out of work. And now we sit here at the beginning of 2022 with staff shortages, not only at medical facilities all over the country, public safety, police officers are losing their jobs or being threatened with no pay if they don't get the jab. Firefighters, same boat, if they don't get the jab. You don't have a personal choice anymore as far as this government is concerned, especially when we know that the shot is not 100%. Yes, it could probably keep you out of the hospital. Maybe it helped me stay out of the hospital. It's only been 10 days since I tested positive, and symptoms come and go. Little coughing, low fever, that's on and off. Very tired. I'm exhausted from doing nothing but staying in my house. But the mandate that this administration in Washington is pushing is not only jeopardizing public safety, but it's jeopardizing public health. And now in a small state such as Rhode Island, you're seeing that in a state-run facility because the leaders are following federal guidelines by allowing COVID-positive workers to come in to cover staff shortages because they just can't get anybody to work for whatever one reason or the other. Either they can't find qualified people who have gotten the jab, or a lot of their staff won't get it and they're not letting them work. I don't know. But it's very strange that this is happening now because they have no staff to care for patients. And I don't know if they're medical workers. I don't know if they're custodial staff, kitchen staff, secretaries, reception. I don't know what they are. But the point is, allowing someone who they know, has tested positive for COVID-19 to come into, especially a medical facility, is dangerous in so many ways. You're jeopardizing not only the health of the patients that are in there because they're sick, but the remainder of the staff who's there, regardless of their vaccination status. It's just dangerous politics as far as I'm concerned, and I spoke in my last video about, I don't care what political party you're from, everybody needs to jump on board and get involved for one reason: to cure this if it can be cured, come up with a 100% solution to get people well, or just figure out a way that we can all commingle without being forced to do something that we choose not to do for whatever reason we choose not to do it. I know the United States Supreme Court is now deliberating after having hearings regarding this administration's mandates. I'm not even going to guess on the outcome. But I think that at the very least, if you're employing people who you know are out of work due to a positive rapid test or PCR test, they should not be allowed into the facility until they test negative. I don't know, as far as I find out from my positive test, I could test positive up to 6 to 8 weeks. And I was also told that if I'm symptom free, I can return to work. and supposedly you're only contagious a few days after you have contact with someone, or a couple of days after you start having symptoms. There's a whole thing on the Rhode Island Department of Health website that I reviewed quickly, and I don't think I'm contagious right now. Like I said, my symptoms are on and off, very mild, a lot better than they were in the beginning. But the bottom line is this: if we're being told that if we don't feel good, stay home from work, whether it's a runny nose, you're sneezing a little bit, you have a headache, whatever. If you're being told to stay home, then you should stay home. Everybody's short-staffed. Everybody. It doesn't matter what job it is. Wherever you go, there's no staff. So it's a decision that the federal government made that I don't know that they really gave it any thought, because you're allowing people, again, for the 10th time, who have a positive test result to go to work, especially in a healthcare setting, to assist because the staff is not sufficient enough to care for everybody. It's wrong in my view. It's a dangerous precedent to set, because you're infecting possibly the entire facility, regardless of personal protective equipment. And that's all I want to say. I don't think it's right that they're letting this happen. I do understand that they may not have a choice, but to put others at risk just because your staff is short for whatever reason, could be a vax mandate, might not be. But mandating people to get a shot that they don't believe that they want, and then putting them out of a job that they've done for almost 2 years, taking care of sick people, and they were unvaccinated, and they worked every day, I would imagine. But now you put them out of work because they won't agree with the government stance on getting a shot that, quite frankly, is based on money making. It's based on making money. We do know the science is there. We do know the science is not 100%. It's all over the CDC's websites, the WHO websites. You can read it in medical journals if you want. There is no 100% guarantee that any of these shots are going to prevent you from ever getting COVID, or even staying out of the hospital for that matter. It's a money-making thing for big pharma, for billionaire corporations who are pushing something that is not 100% guaranteed to protect you or your family from a dangerous virus that's been running in this country now since the beginning of 2020. It's bad politics. It's, again, bad precedent to set by letting positive employees work while they're positive. But who the hell am I? I'm not a scientist. I'm just an average guy who goes to work, and I happen to get it. And when I can go back to work, I will. And that's it. It's just wrong. And I think, like I said the other night, that these politicians need to get off their pedestals. They need to shrink their egos a little bit and just get on the same page, no matter what no matter what political party they're from. Get on the same page and do something to fix this, because we all know people are getting richer and richer off of this, but people aren't getting healthier and healthier off of it. And that's where I'm going to end this. I appreciate you watching. If you liked what I had to say, I'd appreciate if you liked my video. Subscribe to my channel if you will, and share my videos with someone if you will. I'd appreciate that. I hope everybody is healthy and safe, and thanks for listening. And that's just my thoughts on it. I think it's wrong allowing workers to go in with a positive test result. Again, especially in a healthcare setting, it's setting dangerous precedent for the future. And these political so-called leaders need to open their eyes and see what they're doing, because they're not doing enough to solve the health problem. They're filling people's pockets with money, but they're not causing anybody's health to get better by giving them something that is not guaranteed to make them well. And that's it. Have a great night. We'll see you again soon with another rant about something else. Talk soon.